I'm Brian Graff, Senior Vice President of Business Development here at Abacode. We're here every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern to take you through the most recent security events and incidents that have occurred during the previous week. We take you through the who, the what, the how, the where, the when, and the why of how these attacks occurred, to give you information to keep you safe and help you to prevent these attacks from happening to your organization. Today we're going to discuss the Tesla most recent ransomware attempt that occurred last week. So Tesla confirmed that last week, or a few weeks ago, a Russian national approached a Tesla employee and attempted to bribe them to assist them in providing a ransomware attack against Tesla. So the Russian national said that they would give a USB stick to the employee and have them upload the ransomware and propagate an attack. And in return, the employee would get $500,000. Thankfully, the employee notified Tesla, and who then notified the FBI. And the FBI subsequently monitored meetings between the employee and the suspect. Once the suspect realized that they weren't going to be able to turn the Tesla employee, they attempted to flee the country, and the FBI arrested them in Los Angeles. So this sounds like a nightmare scenario for executives of any organization. You know, out of all your employees, is there one that wouldn't accept or that would accept $500,000 or even $1 million as the suspect eventually up their price? Do you have an employee that would accept $1 million to infect a company with ransomware? So first thing I'm going to do is explain why that is a really bad deal, even for an employee that could really use the $1 million. So I'll explain that to you so that you can give your employees awareness of this type of attack, and also go through the traditional ransomware security measures, how they are effective and how they can be mitigated or circumvented with this type of attack, and what you do to prevent it from happening to you. So we've talked about ransomware a lot on UNHACKED, so we'll go through the traditional security mechanisms to prevent against it first. So first thing is security awareness training is always going to be the most important. You have to train your employees to spot phishing attacks, which is the most common way that ransomware infects an organization. Make sure they spot phishing emails, that they're not clicking on links in emails or on websites, that they are aware that security is their responsibility, and just to make them cognizant that this is a part of their job responsibility and it is a constant threat. You want a secure email gateway installed so that the lowest level of phishing attacks are filtered out, so that you only have to worry about the advanced spear phishing type attacks. And secure email gateways also provide some protection against that as well. You want to make sure that you have endpoint protection in place on your laptops and your servers, so that if someone does click on a link and malware or ransomware executable is executed on your network, that it stops at that host or at that workstation, doesn't propagate through the rest of the network. You want to make sure that you have your incident response capability up and ready prior to an attack like this. So who would respond if your network got hit? You have your security personnel, your IT operations personnel, sometimes double as security personnel. Do they know what to look out for, and do they know when they need to enact their incident response plan, and then what do they do once they enact it? You want to make sure you have your 5 steps of detect, analyze, contain, eradicate, and learn lessons from the threat. So what do those mean? That's a little bit different depending on the type of organization and the systems that are going to be impacted. You want to make sure you have at least general scenarios lined out, so that if something does happen, like a ransomware attack, your incident response team knows how to respond. That first part of incident response, detect, is pretty difficult to do without a SIM. So we recommend that all organizations have a SIM running in their network to gather all the logs from their critical devices and correlate and analyze to determine whether there's attack happening on their network. You also want to make sure you have, in addition to your incident response, business continuity and disaster recovery. If you do get hit, can you stand your services back up? Do you have the data backups available? Do you have the server images backups available? Do you have a network, a cloud network or a failover network ready to go? If not, how hard would it be to set one up from scratch? You implement the firewall, the server, put the application on it, and resume business. You need to determine how long is it going to take you to do that, given your current control infrastructure. Is that enough? And can you do it if your primary network isn't available? So that's how you normally protect against ransomware, making sure that you can prevent it, that you can contain it if it does occur, and that you can restore your systems so that you're not beholden to the hackers and have to pay their fee to get your systems back up and running. So what happens in a case of Tesla and somebody is actually bribing one of your employees to propagate this attack? Well, that's why most risk assessments and most security standards require you to assess insider threat as one of your risk components, because you have to determine if somebody's on the inside that wants to do something bad, what are your current security mechanisms, and is that enough? So again, having your SIM in place is vital. Having your endpoint protection in place is vital. But above that, if I'm a hacker or a ransomware group and I'm trying to infiltrate your company, I'm going to go on LinkedIn and try to find the person that I think has the most access to your systems, the most critical systems, and who can also be bribed or turned. So you may have even less time to respond to an attack from an insider, because that may start in your production network. They may not start on a laptop. So you want to make sure that your SIM and your endpoint is configured correctly, but also the alerting process is configured correctly. So let's say you have a SIM already in place, but one of your security engineers is the person who gets bribed. Can they turn off logging? Can they turn off auditing without you knowing? And if so, that's not really a good protection against ransomware. You want to make sure that if someone turns off endpoint protection, if someone turns off SIM protection or SIM logging, if someone turns off logging to your turns off backup processes, that is alerted to multiple personnel, so that one person can't just set the stage for ransomware to occur. You definitely want to make sure your incident response process needs to be on point, and it needs to be quick, because again, you're going to have even less time to respond to something like this, and it's not going to be as it may not be as clear what's happening, because if someone's on the inside, they may have the ability to turn other things off, and you may have lower visibility over what they're doing. So making sure you are responding to SIM alerts and system alerts, and reviewing them 24 hours a day, doing trend analysis, making sure you're just reviewing logs if you see anything suspicious, that you are investigating it. Security awareness, again. So security awareness is going to work a little bit differently, because most of the time you're telling your employees, don't click on this link, don't accidentally infect our system with malware. However, in the case of someone purposely trying to do it, what you want to educate them on is this is not a good idea for you to do, no matter what the ransom is being offered, because there's really only 4 scenarios that could occur, right? I'm an employee, I take the bribe, I go in, I plug in the flash drive, and the attack fails or it doesn't cover your tracks. Well, now you're going to jail for 15 years at least. Let's say option 2, the attack does occur, and according to the Russian national that was talking to the Tesla employee, they said that once you plug this in and you infect the system, all security mechanisms will be disabled, and you'll be able to cover your tracks. You'll be able to get away with it scot-free. So even if that is the case, where the attack is successful, you're still going to there's a good chance that yes, the ransomware gang will get away with it. But the chances of you not being, the attack not being traced back to you is still pretty low. So you're still at risk of getting found out, even if the attack is successful. Option 3 is that the attack is successful and the company itself is not able to trace that individual action to you. There's still the method of getting paid. So you have to get paid by this organization somehow. So either they're going to drop a duffel bag full of cash off at your doorstep, which is probably money that they would rather launder, but they're going to give it to you instead. And when you start spending it, that might be bad news for you. they could try to traditionally wire you funds. But again, now you're going to have a significant amount of money wired to you, probably from overseas, at the exact same time that an attack occurs, or maybe a month or so before. It's very difficult to get away with a crime in that aspect. Again, the hackers overseas will get away with it, but you won't. But let's say option 4, the attack goes, it's successful. The cash is not traced back to you. You get $100,000. I doubt you're going to get $500,000, but let's say you do get your 6-figure payday. What do you think is going to happen the next time you go to work? What do you think is going to happen let's say that company goes under? You're going to have to work somewhere. So what do you think is going to happen the first day you walk in? Well, the ransomware gang is going to call you and say, hey, it's time for the next job. And that time they probably aren't going to need to pay you, because their payment is going to be, we're not going to tell the cops that you committed federal crimes during the last attempt. So you're going to be beholden to them for as long as they feel like using you. So in no case is it a good idea for an employee to take a bribe like this. However, they may not know this, so you need to first educate them and say, look, these guys are not your friends. You probably can't trust them, and you need to report this if this happens, because they're probably not just targeting you; they're probably targeting other employees in the organization as well. So you could be affected even if you say no. So make sure that everyone understands that if this is a security incident, just like anything else, and they need to report it. So we went through all the security mechanisms that you need. This is just another aspect that's going to be more and more common. These ransomware gangs are very sophisticated and they have money to spend. So if they can't get into your system in the traditional manner, they'll just bribe one of your employees, and it's a win-win for them. The only people who lose are the person that helps them out and the organization. So security awareness is the key. Make sure that you're monitoring and your endpoint protection is up, and hopefully that you have incident response processes and disaster recovery in place, so that if you do get hit, you're able to respond without having to pay the hackers for the key. So that's all the time we have today. Again, I'm Brian Graff. We'll be here every 4 o'clock with Unhacked. And if you like this video and you thought the information was useful, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you next Thursday.